everyone. Welcome back to The Victim's Voice. I'm your host, Lorelei. Even though today's episode is all the way from Nova Scotia, Canada, it's one that has garnered attention internationally. Not just one, but two kids just vanished from their home in broad daylight, with their parents just a few feet away in another room. But is this what really happened? So many red flags have come out throughout the mom and her quote unquote partner's interviews, and a lot of people are not believing their story. So I'm going to go over all the facts along with all of the inconsistencies, and at the end, let you be the judge on what you believe happened to these two children. With that being said, let's jump right in. On the morning of May 2nd, 2025, at approximately 10 a.m., a 911 call came into Pictou County. The caller was a woman from Nova Scotia, Canada, named Malaya Brooks Murray. She was calling to report that her two children, 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack, were missing from their home. According to the information that they had gathered, the RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, told the public that the kids wandered away from their home that morning and were gone before anyone in the house noticed. Immediately, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police issued a vulnerable missing persons alert in Pictou County and two neighboring counties. They also asked for the public's help in locating the kids. They said that Lily was possibly wearing a pink sweater, pink pants, and pink boots. It was unknown what clothing Jack was wearing, but it was said that he could have been wearing an overnight pull-up and blue dinosaur rain boots. The family lives in a corner of Pictou County in a community called Lansdowne, which is described as a network of backcountry roads that only the locals know. These roads crisscross rivers and dense forests that are swarming with black flies. There is hardly any cell service in the area. Most of the 100 people who live in Lansdowne are related and have lived there for generations. The community is a 15-minute drive from the closest town, and the only traffic that comes through the area are a few local cars, logging trucks, and school buses. Looking at a picture of the home on Google Earth, which I will post on my social media and webpage, the mobile home that the family lives in is plopped on a clearing in the middle of the dense forest and rugged terrain. It's literally in the boondocks. Lily, Jack, and their mom, Malaya, moved into the community on Garlock Road just 2 years before, into the childhood home belonging to Daniel Martell, who is said to be Lily and Jack's stepfather, but the couple isn't actually married. They started dating around 3 years ago when Lily was 2 and Jack was just a baby. Malaya and Daniel do have a 16-month-old baby together, a little girl named Meadow. According to the family, Lily and Jack's biological father has had no contact with them at all since they were born. Daniel's mother, Belinda Gray, and Daniel's brother also live on the property. They live in a dilapidated camper overlooking the fenced-in backyard of the mobile home that Malaya, Daniel, and the kids live in. However, there has been hardly any mention or sighting of Daniel's brother or mother. And when I say this camper is dilapidated, I mean it's dilapidated. It doesn't even have a roof. It's got a tarp over the top of it. From the aerial views, you can see where the roof is supposed to be, but is completely missing. The camper that Daniel's mom and brother live in is directly behind the mobile home and inside of the fence surrounding the backyard. Within an hour, search and rescue teams were deployed, and the search began for Lily and Jack. They got more information from Malaya and Daniel, who stated that they believed the children had wandered off the property through the fence in the backyard and made their way into the forest behind the home. Over 160 people were searching the area around the home and in the woods and the rough terrain. But after searching all day that first day on the 2nd, nothing was found. The next day, on Saturday, May 3rd, the RCMP requested the help of the Nova Scotia Guard to aid in the search for Lily and Jack. They were assisted by helicopters, drones, and tracking dogs. During this time, bits and pieces of new information was starting to come out. For one, it is being said that Lily and Jack had not been seen by anybody other than Malaya and Daniel since Tuesday. The kids attended Salt Springs Elementary School, which is a small rural school about 11 miles from their house by bus. The last day they were there and seen by the staff was on Tuesday, April 29th. There was no school on Wednesday because of a school improvement day, and then both kids were kept home on Thursday and Friday because Lily had a cough. So, why did Jack have to miss school? Because Lily had a cough? These kids could have actually been missing longer than what was originally reported. And in my opinion, this is one huge red flag. The kids miss school for 2 days for no seemingly good reason, then they go missing immediately after. On May 3rd, Malaya made her only statement to the public. Here is what she said. Quote, I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. They're not the type of kids. We tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out of that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. They were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. We get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says no. We get up instantly and we're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just called 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone, they'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store, everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they're missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware. Someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe we had found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet. But with the sun, today I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. I'm sorry, but she's cringy. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. I'm sorry, sorrow? That's a weird word to use. Almost sounds like you're grieving the death of someone. Where is the worry and panic? Malaya goes on to say, quote, they are definitely verbal and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful, but there's always in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds, and I don't want to go through that another night without them. I have so much to say about this. There are so many red flags in that statement, in my opinion. First of all, when she said something about how horrible the night was without the kids in their beds, I immediately got Chris Watts's porch interview vibes. Also, why were a 4 and a 6-year-old up by themselves? Why the mom was lying in a bed drifting in and out of sleep at 10 a.m. And if they were home from school because Lily had a cough the day before on Thursday, wouldn't you get up on Friday morning to see if she's better so that maybe she can go to school that day? Or didn't she have to call them off of school? At least get up and see if she needs medication or something. I'm sure they would have liked to have some breakfast. And she said that they know not to go outside by themselves and that they never do. So why would they that morning? And how do they know that the kids went out the sliding door? And what does she mean that they were playing in the backyard, but that they weren't aware of it at the time? Then how are you aware of it now? And if they were in bed and they just noticed that they didn't hear the kids in the next room anymore, then how would they know any of this information? I'm sorry, but the math's not mathin' for me. Also, from what I have gathered, the kids have never been diagnosed with autism. They're just saying that they have it. And she seems to think it's cute that her kids are friendly with strangers and will talk to anyone, even though several family members have said the kids don't talk hardly at all. I feel like the reason that both Malaya and Daniel keep reiterating the fact that the kids were not only vulnerable, but were very friendly, was so that it would be believable that the kids could have been easily abducted by a stranger. Although, according to the statistics in Canada, stranger abductions account for less than 1% of missing children. So, this being what happened is highly unlikely. Also, the RCMP saying that there is nothing leading them to think that it's an abduction. That's why they haven't issued an Amber Alert. Malaya says in her interview that she wished that they would have issued one so that everyone would be aware that the kids are missing. But there are certain requirements for an Amber Alert. Besides the indication of an abduction, there has to be a description of a suspect vehicle. You don't put out an Amber Alert just so everyone hears about the fact that a child is missing. That's not the way it works. It just seems to me that these two want everyone to believe that the kids were abducted. But what parent would actually want to believe that their children were taken by someone? It all just seems weird to me. Malaya constantly contradicts herself, and her interview is like a big word salad. And her overall demeanor during this interview and the things she says give me an icky feeling. And that's all we hear from her. She doesn't talk to the media again. We then hear from Daniel, though. And Daniel, he loves to talk. But a lot of what he says contradicts Malaya. And both of them sound like they've rehearsed these stories quite a bit before telling them to the media. Daniel said that the kids never go in the woods by themselves. Okay, then why would you assume that's where they took off to? He described the kids as vulnerable and also autistic, once again, just like Malaya. He calls the kids autistic when they have never been diagnosed. He said that they never crossed the road with the kids, that they had built some cabins in the woods behind the house, and that's as far as they take them. Now, I have yet to see these cabins in the woods, but what I have seen is some structure made out of wood that looks like a pen to keep something in, such as maybe an animal, but there is no opening in it. So, who would lift an animal over the top of it? If it wasn't created for an animal, then what were they putting in there? Some people have posted pictures of this pen, and it looks like there are some children's toys lying near it and in it. I will post photos on the Victim's Voice Facebook page and on my website, thevictimsvoice.org, to show you this weird, creepy pen. He stated that on that Friday morning, he and Malaya had asked the kids to be quiet so that the baby could sleep. He said it took him about 20 minutes to notice that the kids were gone. Here is a quote from Daniel when he talked to the media on May 4th. A few minutes went by. I heard nothing. Got up and went into the kitchen. Checked everything. I saw they weren't there. Checked their bedrooms and they weren't there. So I looked out in the backyard. That's the only other place they would go, and their boots were gone. The door, the sliding door, was closed. Usually they don't close the door. I usually have to remind them. Remind them to close the door over and over. So, if they never close the door and you always have to remind them, then why would they close it that morning? And if the door was shut, why did they both assume that the kids had gone out that door and had been playing outside? Both parents seem too concentrated on the quiet sliding door. It's like they are telling a story that they both have rehearsed, and they need people to believe that the kids went out this door and that it was so quiet that they didn't hear them. How about taking some accountability for not getting their asses out of bed and watching their little kids? Neither one of them seems to want to admit they were neglecting the kids and instead are acting like this is a situation that can happen to anyone. He says he then jumped in his vehicle and started looking for them. He said, quote, I searched every dirt road and searched every culvert as fast as I could until I got back and saw the RCMP there. They wouldn't let me back in the woods until there was a guy dressed in military gear. He allowed me to jump back into the woods, so I jumped the back fence and continued my search. End quote. Another quote from Daniel. The house is just silent. There's no magic in the air. It's just silence. That's really all I can say. End quote. During his interviews with the press, people on social media pointed out a small scratch on Daniel's face, wondering where he could have gotten it. Daniel also believes the kids might have been abducted and think the RCMP should be checking the borders and the airports. Now we're going to go back to May 3rd for a second. On May 3rd, a broadcast intrusive alert was sent out to everyone in Pictou and 2 other surrounding counties to help engage the public. Something else happened on Saturday, May 3rd, the day after Jack and Lily disappeared, that has made everyone side-eye the parents. That afternoon, Malaya and Daniel attended a briefing at the search and rescue headquarters near Lansdowne Station Road. Daniel said that halfway through the update, Malaya left to go sit in the back of an ambulance. She then left with her mother, and Daniel hasn't seen her since. There were rumors that she had moved to a different part of the province, hours away, but it's been reported that she is actually staying at her mother's house a few minutes away and that she has blocked Daniel on her social media accounts and has not even spoken to him since she left. This has sent out a million red flags to everyone that has been following the case. First of all, as a mother, why would she leave the place where her kids were last seen? There have been a couple of rumors floating around about why Malaya left. Some people are saying it's because after seeing the condition of the inside of the mobile home that they are living in, authorities told Malaya that if she wanted to keep Meadow in her custody and not have her removed by the state, then she needed to find somewhere else to stay with her. It's also been said that earlier on May 3rd, some of Malaya's family members came over to the home and were accusing Daniel of doing something to the kids. While this big fight was taking place in the yard, Daniel's mom heard it and came outside. She told Malaya that she was no longer welcome to stay on the property. And because Daniel's family owned the property, Malaya had no choice but to leave and took Meadow with her. It's also been said that Malaya is now blaming Daniel for doing something to the kids. But if this is true, then she had to be involved also, or had to have at least known about it and covered for him, because she said that she and Daniel were in bed during the time that Jack and Lily went missing. So there's that. So now Daniel is front and center of the search and investigation, and he's doing a lot of talking. When the media talked to Daniel and asked him about Malaya leaving, he told them that he had no idea why she had left, but admitted that he hadn't talked to her since and that she had blocked him off of all social media. During her one interview, Malaya pretty much insinuated that neither she nor Daniel saw the kids that morning. They weren't sure of what they were wearing, and she said that they heard them playing in the next room, and then things got quiet. There was no mention of seeing either one of them. However, during one of the many times Daniel spoke to the media, he said that Lily had her backpack with her. He made the comment that it is white with strawberries on it, but then also said that since it had been in the woods with her, it was most likely brown by now, which to me is a weird comment to make. But how did he know she had her backpack with her? And at first, they were unsure of what Jack was wearing, only describing the missing rain boots and saying he might have on an overnight pull-up. But then said that Jack probably would have taken off the pull-up once it got wet and heavy from the rain. Some of these parents' comments are so absurd. It's like they have no self-awareness and can't read the room. Then Daniel's story changed again, and this time he said he did see Lily that morning before the kids disappeared. He said she had come into the bedroom where he and Malaya and the baby were laying down several times, and he said he thought Jack was playing in the kitchen. After not hearing them for a while, he got up and realized that they were gone. So he said he immediately jumped in the car and drove down all the dirt roads, checked the rivers and streams and all the culverts. He said he walked through waist deep water and screamed their names until his throat hurt. He said 10 minutes later, yes, 10 minutes, he got back to the house and then took off on foot to look for the kids. First of all, it would take more than 10 minutes to look in all of these places. Second of all, if they thought the kids went out the sliding door into the forest in the back, then why did he first jump in the car and look around the roads and everywhere in front? This makes no sense. And also, he was interviewed not long after doing all of this, supposedly, but his clothes were quite clean and didn't appear to be wet at all. And his voice didn't sound hoarse from yelling their names over and over. He definitely doesn't look like the kind of person who just ran through the forest, water, and culverts looking for these kids. Throughout all of Daniel's interviews with the media, he seems to be calm, composed, and used past tense a lot when he talks about the kids, not appearing to be someone who is frantic because their kids are missing and have an urgency to find them. The search continued for Jack and Lily. Daniel said that if possible, he would be in the woods searching also, but that the RCMP weren't allowing him to anymore. Even the professional search and rescue personnel were experiencing difficulties because of the treacherous terrain in the forest. One searcher had to be carried out on a stretcher because of extreme muscle strain. Amy Hansen of Colchester County Ground Search and Rescue says the search has been exhausting, but despite the difficult terrain and that the volunteers are not giving up hope of finding the children. While rescuers are still searching for the kids, the RCMP are working behind the scenes. On May 3rd, the Mounties Major Crimes Unit became involved in the case also. Fortunately, in Canada, all missing children's cases are viewed as suspicious and are investigated. So any electronics in the house, including computers and cell phones, are being looked at along with possibly getting DNA samples from everyone who lives on the property. By May 5th, searchers had still found no sign of the children. They had searched a 4 square kilometer area around the mobile home with no luck. There was some talk of a child's boot print being found near the house, which brought searchers to look in that area, but nothing ever came of that lead. Scent dogs were brought in, but they couldn't pick up either kid's scent past the end of the driveway. So at this point, they seemed to be at a dead end. On the morning of May 6th, Daniel was taken to the Pictou County District RCMP detachment in the nearby town of Stellarton, where he was questioned for 4 hours. He later told the media that he was asked to go over timelines to the minute and to go over all the details of what had happened on that Friday morning that the kids disappeared. They also asked him to draw on the maps where he thinks the children might be. He said, quote, "They're easy on me because they know I'm telling the truth about everything." Okay. I don't call a 4 hour quote unquote interview being easy on him. And of course, they're going to be nice to him and even act like they're friends. It's all part of the interrogation process. They're trying to win his trust. During this time, Michelle Glasgow, who is the chief of the Sipnickney Katik First Nation, spoke about the case. The Sipnickney Katik are a multi-generational Mi'kmaq community in Nova Scotia, made up of approximately 3,000 people. And I'm so sorry if I said any of those names wrong. They took back their indigenous name in 2013, which means where the wild potatoes grow. They are one of 7 districts of Mi'kmaqi, the territory of the Mi'kmaq. Malaya's father is a member of the Mi'kmaq community. Michelle asked people to refrain from jumping to conclusions so early on in the case. She also warned people against sharing unverified information, as this could complicate the efforts of the multiple agencies involved in the investigation. On the morning of May 7th, 2025, the RCMP arrived at Daniel's home and asked him to hand over his phone, which he did with no problem, he said. Malaya's mom, Cindy Murray, was asked by the Globe how the police were investigating the children's disappearance. And her answer was, quote, "We're not discussing anything right now. The police told us not to," end quote. She also said the police had told her and Malaya to not talk to the media or to be on social media. Malaya listened and deactivated her social media, but then she reactivated it the next day for a short period. If you think it was to update her status about her children or to plead for their safe return, you would be wrong. She logged into Facebook so that she could change her relationship status to single and to change her profile picture. What the actual fuck? Once again, read the room, Malaya. The RCMP also held a press conference on May 7th to give an update to the public. They sadly announced that although they are going to continue the search for the children, they are scaling back their search because they believe since it has been 6 days that they have been missing, that there is a slim chance that the children are still alive. Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon stated, "We're not packing up and we're not giving up." It's just strange to me that they are saying that they don't believe that the children could still be alive. There have been people lost in the forest for far longer than 6 days that have survived. It just seems a little premature to me, unless they know more than what they're saying. Daniel made another statement, of course, because this guy just loves to talk. He said that he gathered some of the kids' stuffed animals and handed them over to the RCMP at the request of Malaya, Lily's white unicorn, and Jack's blue dinosaur, to be specific. He said he also gave them the baby's white giraffe and even gave them Malaya's pink teddy bear. He also told the Globe that the RCMP had advised him that they were bringing in cadaver dogs along with divers and were going to search the nearby lake for the kids. This was done, but nothing was found. On May 8th, the forest behind the family's home was searched by helicopter, along with heat detecting drones, but still nothing was found. They hadn't found the backpack Daniel said that Lily took, they hadn't found Jack's pull up, and they hadn't found the kids' rain boots. They had found absolutely nothing to indicate that the kids had made their way into the forest. Officers also came back to the house to speak to Daniel again. This time they were plainclothes officers, and according to Daniel, because we know how he just loves to tell the media every single detail of what's going on, he said that they were there to look at any electronics that they had. He said they wanted to match up any phones that had come into the yard around the time the kids had disappeared. That same afternoon, Daniel had a friend of his drive him to the Children's Protective Office in Stellarton in an effort to see Meadow, but they refused to let him see her. This is strange to me. Even Summer Wells' parents got to see their boys under supervision. So why wasn't he allowed to see Meadow at all? Once again, he spoke to the media about this, saying that because of the children being missing, that CPS just wanted to keep a tight leash on things. He made it sound like it was no big deal that he couldn't see his daughter. This is the last thing we know that has happened. After this, Daniel seemed to have gone quiet. Maybe someone finally told him that talking to the media every chance he got wasn't a good idea. As of now, they have searched 5.5 square kilometers with no trace of the kids. No backpack, no pull up, no boots, nothing. I don't believe the kids got that far into the woods that they haven't been found and had left no trace. Someone who volunteers at the kids' schools, who had direct contact with Lily the Monday before she went missing, made a Facebook post to clear up some of the rumors and misconceptions in the case. Here is what she wanted to say. Neither child has a confirmed diagnosis of autism. They are being described as low verbal, as you cannot always make out what they are trying to say. It's been confirmed that Lily was at school on Monday morning as we were talking about the tomato plants the school was growing. Lily was pointing out all of the red tomatoes. Lily and Jack are indigenous and are affiliated with the Sapikne First Nation. Family members on the scene Friday told her that it's quite possible that Lily had a red jacket on and maybe had a white backpack with her. The white backpack that Daniel said may be brown now. Positive clothing descriptions are not available, as Mom did not physically lay eyes on them Friday morning, only heard them playing in another room. Or so they say. It has been mentioned that it's very possible they are scared and hiding due to all the search efforts. If you live close by, please check any places on your property where they could be hiding. Jack loves dinosaurs and Lily loves princesses. If you happen to stumble upon either kiddo and need a topic of conversation. Lastly, you do not know who is reading your comments on social media and if they have any relationship to the children or their family. Be mindful of what you're typing, and if it's not facts, keep it to yourself. The media has reached out to the RCMP for an update, but they won't give one right now, stating that they don't want to risk the integrity of the investigation. It sounds like to me that they are working behind the scenes and they are onto something. So until they decide to tell us more, we wait. While we wait, there are searchers still looking for Lily and Jack, but every day that goes by makes the chance of finding them alive slimmer and slimmer. On May 17th, the RCMP announced that they were going to renew the search for Jack and Lily. They stated that they were going to search closer to the location of the home, rather than further away as they did in the previous search. Around this time, a post started circulating on social media from a supposed neighbor. Here is what it says. They live 500 feet from me. I didn't even know kids lived there at all. I thought it was a drug house. There's always cars there, and it's so odd to me. But I can't remember clearly if it was Wednesday or Thursday. But there were so many cars there on that particular day that the driveway was full, and a car was even parked on the side of the main road. It was like 2 p.m. at the latest, and I remember driving past judging them, thinking how they were probably in there sharing a crack pipe or whatever. And then, boom, Friday, this all comes out. Like I'm in distress over it. It's so fucked. I have to wonder if they will ever be found, let alone if we will ever know the truth of what happened to them. End quote. Some people believe this person is an actual neighbor, while others think they are just a troll online giving false information. Right now, however, no one knows what really happened. All we have to go on is what the RCMP decides to tell us, but even they don't know that much. At the time of this recording, the kids have been missing for over 3 weeks, and we have no more information on where they could be than we did the day they disappeared. There is supposed to be another big search on land and in the air this weekend, and hopefully the RCMP is doing an extensive investigation into everyone that was living on the property at the time Jack and Lily vanished. In my opinion, this goes way beyond parents who weren't watching their kids. Someone knows something, and until the police can put together the pieces to this confusing puzzle, we may never know what happened to these children, and that is heartbreaking to even think about. I will keep following this case, and if any new information comes out, I will make sure to give an update on the Victim's Voice on social media and on the Victim's Voice webpage. Everyone come back next week for a new episode. Until then, stay safe and peace out.